Welcome, DK Nation. My name is Collin Sherwin. I'm the college sports editor, and we have brought on two guys to discuss the college football playoff national championship game. Number 3, Georgia. Number 1, Alabama. The SEC championship rematch. This time it will be in Indianapolis, and we will see who walks away with the biggest prize in college football. Seth Varnadore, who works for both Alligator Army and for the Daily Stampede as part of the SB Nation Network. He's their film guy genius, former Division II coach, comes down and really does some really, if you've been with our channel for a while, you know some of the film breakdowns that he does are really good and intense stuff. And we brought back a special guest, Stephen Bench, who coincidentally is not only a Georgia guy and grew up as a family friend of Kirby Smart on the Georgia side, but on the Alabama side, Bill O'Brien, who is the offensive coordinator for the Crimson Tide, also coached Bench at Penn State. So we got two guys who can really dive into this game and understand some of the nuances and what we should see in round 2. But Seth, let's start with the Georgia offense and the Alabama defense.
Going back and rewatching the game, I thought they missed a lot of opportunities, especially, they kind of let the game get out of hand. But early, right here, he's got a chance to just convert this 3rd down, 3rd and 3. If he just puts it on the back right now, you see he loses his eyes, leave him early, and he comes back in here into this big mess, and Alabama's passing everything off, and he ends up getting sacked. They end up having to settle for a field goal. Later in the game, you get the kind of same look. They're running the mesh again. This time you got the back matched up. He looks early, then he kind of turns his head and looks away. Bennett throws it. So there's two kind of miscommunication right there that could have been 3rd down conversions to extend drives and get some more points early in the game. So I thought they missed some opportunities. But one thing they have that nobody else has that I think is a biggest positive for Georgia, the best player maybe on their team, is Brock Bowers. The dude is just an animal. You see him go, yeah,
stud.
You see him go low here to catch. It would have been nice to have one of those when you were playing, wouldn't it?
He's like an all-pro running around at 18 years old. That guy's first round written all over him.
And you see they get him the ball in a variety of ways. Look at this catch. He goes up and gets it. This is insane. And that's a pretty good throw right there too from old Stetson.
That's a dart.
But he goes up and gets it. He might be. It's crazy to say, but he may be like the best player in this game. He's unbelievable. I mean, watch this here. Just throw a screen. You throw your screen to a freshman tight end all the time. Throws a screen. He breaks 2 tackles, goes to the end zone. He's an animal. I think you're going to see a steady diet of him, and you see him in all kinds of different ways. I think he had over 100 yards receiving in this game. He had one big play here against Michigan. They didn't have to break him out too much. They kind of were able to roll, but I think he'll have an increased role in this game. You see they use 2 tight ends, and you see him making a play. Then I think what they're going to need to do is some kind of more misdirection type stuff here. This is a 4th and 3 from Cincinnati. They make it look like they're running split zone. You see him flying out because they did a ton of split zone where he would become like the pitch man on a modern triple option. Safety flies out. He actually goes up the seam on this 4th down. If Ritter just throws it right now, just throws it with some space, there's nobody in the middle of the field. They probably score a touchdown right here. Instead, he pulls it down, and it's tough with that guy getting right in your face right now. But they had it open. They just couldn't quite protect it. So I think they're going to have to use some type of misdirection. Here's kind of looking at it when they throw it to the pitch guys for the modern triple option look. Alabama's good. They're going to have some young guys back in the secondary. Here's Georgia running a little jet sweep under center. But again, you get these guys kind of playing their eyes over here for this. You hand that, and you're one-on-one with a safety. You make that guy miss, you get a big play, right? So that's kind of that. I think that's going to need to be a big part of their game plan. Here you get a little misdirection, another sense with a trick play. And then I thought this was a really good play. So they go sugar huddle where they get up and they get on the ball really quickly. They did this against Florida, right? And you'll notice here, this is the left tackle. So they go tackle over. Here's the tight end lined up as almost as the tackle on this side, right, to the defense. Against Florida, they ran inside zone, gave that. He walked in. Here, they pull it. So it's kind of an RPO. If they don't go with the tight end, he pulls it, throws it out to the tight end, easy money. And this is what you got to do against Alabama. You got to win outside. George Pickens, he's back close to 100%. He's a difference maker. here. They motion the back out. So what they do, they motion the back out here. It confirms the coverage for the quarterback. He sees the linebacker match him. He knows it's man. If he didn't, he knows he's got a good zone beater in here with this bunch look. Man, take the shot to the back. Over the top for a big play. Sets up another touchdown, I believe, on that drive. And Alabama showed themselves here. They can be susceptible because they are injured a little bit in the defensive backfield. So you watch this side right here, one-on-one. That's George Pickens, or if that's Burton or one of these other guys. They have a bunch of stud receivers. I think he's got more than one step there, and I take my shot right there. So I think this is the biggest key of the game. Is Stetson Bennett going to take off and run when they show him, when they drop off? They didn't blitz him a ton. I think I read they only brought more than five times in the game. They made it look like they were bringing a ton, but they didn't. And this is where his legs, this is the kind of the biggest difference between him and JT Daniels, is him taking off and picking up yards with his legs. What
QBs that can beat Bama, QBs that beat Saban can run. So that's like not always the history.
Yeah. And then his issue is, like, people call him a game manager. He's not really. He's like more to me. I think a lot of people, I've seen some people call him Bryce Young. He's like Chris Paul. He's like a real point guard. Stetson Bennett's like that scorer off the bench that sometimes is really hot. And but he's going to take some heat checks. Like this throw is, this is a heat check. This is a force. This is not a game manager. That's not a great throw right there. This one here, 2nd and 9. If you're a game manager, you might just chuck this one out of bounds instead of trying to throw it around two dudes. So here, that's tough look. He's trying to throw it in this hole right here. Oh, that's a tough throw. He throws it in there. He doesn't see the safety breaking on it. So he kind of almost threw that one blind. That's tough. But on the other side of the ball for Alabama defensively, can they win doing this? They were able to win doing this against Cincinnati and Georgia the first time. They just ran a ton of games up front. Didn't have to bring a lot of pressure. So just moving up front, twisting and stunting and stemming and all kinds of stuff like that up front. Are they able to win that way? They were against Cincinnati, which they were just overmatched up front. Bringing 4 guys, can I win like that? Here's another look at it. So this looks like I'm bringing a ton of guys right here. I've got all these dudes on the line of scrimmage. End up only bringing 4. And then I drop this into a zone. It feels like a blitz, so Bennett tries to get it off. You got the safety that was showing in too high. They're showing a too high look at the snap, right? Safety just kind of buzzes down and just sits and is reading the quarterback's eyes. When he throws it out there, he breaks on it. Could have got a pick. This is the first drive of the game. Could have got a big pick early. You see them do the same thing here to Ritter, where they're showing guys the line of scrimmage, bringing guys from distance, and then dropping back. So these are kind of like simulated pressures where they're showing like I'm bringing a bunch of guys. I end up dropping guys back and only bringing 4. But your line's got to be able to pick it up, and your quarterback's got to be able to process it, which makes it tough. Here's one of the only times they blitzed him, I think. You see he gets there early. He has some trouble with it. And then on the interception, the pick 6, I think Alabama's just playing like one of their tip. I think this is just like their stubby. So he's going to be like man coverage. It could be something different, but to me, it looks like that. And then now these guys are playing, they're both playing 2 to 3. So if 2 gets vertical, they'll play it. If 3 gets vertical and 2's under, they'll pass it off. But basically, Alabama, when especially if they're too high, they like to get 4 over 3 to the 3 receiver side and then 3 over 2 to the back side. So right here, tight end goes in. So now both these guys have eyes on number 2. They're just waiting for his break. As soon as he starts to break, safety knows I can jump this because I have help here too. He jumps that thing inside. Thank you very much. Takes it to the house. So they're going to try to disguise, I think, and confuse Stetson Bennett. If he just kind of stays within himself a little more than he did the last game, I think they've got a much better shot of scoring and then, winning this game.
Brock Bowers, as an update, Kirby says It sounds like, if you're talking Kirby speak, he's probably going to need surgery after the season, but he will be ready to go for this game on his shoulder.
I'd hate to see him at 100%. Holy cow.
Kid, we got a Kyle Pitts Jr. Bench, we're going to switch to your side of the ball. Please feel free to mix in any of BOB's playbook, terminology, rules, anything that you see like that. Going up against the Georgia defense that was by far and away, was statistically the best defense of this century going into the SEC championship before Bama cut them up a little bit. So what do you see? And let's flip the script here. Other side of the ball.
In general, it was a long time ago when I played for OB, but I will say one thing he knows how to do is get the matchups he wants. So he does a lot of bunch, he does a lot of empty, and he'll switch these guys out as far as, not just anybody lines up at the point, not just anybody lines up outside. Okay. So he will make sure he gets who he wants to run these routes and run these plays. Now, I'll say this, Cincinnati didn't want any piece of Alabama last week. Absolutely none. Now, these guys are out here making plays. I'm just showing this as a bunch clip because O'Brien's going to continue to run bunch and run empty because that's just how you beat what Georgia does, which is a lot of man-to-man. Now, Cincinnati also actually runs a bunch of man-to-man, and the way you beat that is crossers and matchups, essentially. And so here they go trips versus man, right? And look, Cincinnati doesn't have guys to cover Bama. Georgia does. So it won't quite look like this, but as you can see, I mean, we're manned up across the board. It's man free. They dropped one down in there just to cover, but these guys aren't ready for this game as far as Cincinnati goes. But as you can see, O'Brien's torching man here. Now, I'm putting this clip in here because this is something that they won't be able to do against Georgia. I mean, just look at the offensive line, where they start, where the line of scrimmage is, and where they end up. I mean, they're 5-6 yards off the ball. Blocking these guys, right? And so this is something that won't happen against Bama, but at the same time, or against Georgia, I apologize. At the same time, Georgia won't be this soft either. So next play here, we're running just a little Hank route, which is a curl flat here, and it's something we call a Hank. The guy gets over the ball, and here's what I want to point out here is we're going man. Some kind of man, because everyone's following their guy, right? Actually, maybe getting into cover 3 here. But regardless, these guys are playing off. I want to point this out. Look how far off this guy is over here. He doesn't want this guy to run by him. He's terrified. And that's something Georgia's not going to do. And Bama's not going to be able to get free releases. It's so hard to cover guys from 8 yards off, especially when they're Bama receivers, right? So here they are. They're not really getting to Bryce Young and getting a first down on 3rd and 16. You just can't allow that to happen. When Bama gets in 3rd and long, Georgia has to get off the field. Getting them in 3rd and long is the hard part. Now, as I was saying, O'Brien loves matchups and loves getting the guy that he wants to get the ball on a guy that you don't want covering him, right? So I want to point out right here, number one, who absolutely torched Georgia. They got him on, I think this is 0. I want to say 0 or 6, who got abused all game. He wasn't the only one, so I can't put too much blame on him. But he gets, I mean, O'Brien set this up. This isn't an accident like, oh, great, we have a D-end or an outside linebacker on number 1. This is set up by Coach O'Brien out of empty because he knows what they're going to give him. Here we go, little juke route on him. 0 doesn't stand a chance of covering this guy. And now he's like, oh, shoot, can't cover him. Like, I mean, that's not his fault. That's the coach's fault. So that's something O'Brien's going to do, is going to always get matchups with the guys he wants. And it's Georgia's job to be good enough to cover him if they want to go man. Now, moving over to the Georgia defensive side, it was hard to find some decent clips from this game because, as you can see, 17-0 beginning of the second quarter. This was over before it started. This was over the second Harbaugh came out in cleats and that they wore those run the ball shirts. So from here, I got about 3 plays from Georgia, and I just want to show something that they're going to have to do. Now, they brought pressure on Young, right? But I think what they're going to end up doing against Bama this time is Bring exotic pressures. Bring guys from corner, right? Bring guys from out here. Let them blitz from all over. I think you're going to see a football masterclass as far as blitz schemes, run schemes, twists, any number of things coming from Kirby's defense to stop the Bama offense. Here's another play. Look, this long developing stuff, okay, much less Michigan here. This long developing stuff isn't going to work against Georgia ever. I don't care if you're Bama. I don't care if you're Florida, whatever it is. Any of this stuff where you're faking here, faking there, we got all data that we need to set up the throw, not going to happen. All right. Next one, okay, this is exactly what I was saying before. Y'all remember how far off the Cincinnati corner was? Look at this. They are not scared of anyone running by them or anything like that, right? Bama's not going to be able to get free releases and just do whatever they want like they were against Cincy, and honestly, how I felt like they did against Georgia the first time. So we're going to get in their face on the other side, and we're going to get picks and make plays like this because we're not going to allow them to just run by us. But you can't stand 10 yards off and expect that to happen. You can't play scared. All right. So now we're going to get into the SEC championship. Okay. This is the last game, and now what I want to say about this game is that I think Bama came out, and here we are in bunch again. Bama came out, and they decided on first downs they were just going to let it fly. It was almost like they weren't even going to try and run the ball because they knew Georgia wasn't going to allow it. So what they did is they put the ball in the best player's hands on the field, which is this guy. And obviously he won the Heisman. I get it. It's not a secret he's the best player, but when you got guys out here like Dean and 95 and stuff like that, and he's still the best player on the field, that's a problem. He's that good though, and no matter what kind of pressures you bring, they did a great job picking stuff up. Now all I'm showing here is that they bring a pressure and they're going out a bunch here, and they're just running man. All right, and here obviously they miss him here, but Georgia's going to have to do something, either get to the quarterback or get a hold of these guys to stop that man coverage. Now here's this. I want to point this out. This is second quarter. They start out a bunch. I kind of screwed this up as far as where the play starts, but I want to show this. They start out a bunch, okay? And now this was something we used to call rifle, that O'Brien called rifle. And you get out a bunch. You're going to clear out with a guy. You have a guy coming over the top on an in cut, and then you have the guy on the inside, number 3, running straight to the flat, and he's coming right back underneath as these guys clear out over the top of him, okay? And this is definitely one of O'Brien's favorite third and short, third and medium plays. Now, obviously, there's a blown coverage here. Guys are wide open. But these in cuts and these crossers and things like that are what beats man and what beats what Georgia does. I mean, it's literally what they did to win the last game, except I think they came out slinging it a lot more than Georgia anticipated. They didn't try. They didn't mess with Georgia as far as the run game went up the middle. Now, I want to show that combination again. Here we go. We're clearing out the middle. This guy comes underneath. Now I want you to remember that. Obviously, we hit the over-the-top guy here for the long touchdown play. But that's just beating man. That's just a man beater. That's what you do. Now, again, I'm not even sure what down this is right here, but you got a little bunch up top, okay? And then you're spreading them out down here. It looks like man across the board or some kind of 4 or something. And we fake the screen up top. Right, we fake the screen up top. That's essentially a run play that they're faking for Bama because they can't run between the tackles. Those quick screens and things are what they use to set up these deeper plays. So they fake this screen up top. No, we got man down here, and my man 47 in this SEC game got abused. This guy, Kirby, would be disappointed in 47 safety play because the entire game was constantly – I mean, he's falling all over himself. This guy doesn't need to be covering anyone. I'm sure he's a great guy, and he's a high-effort guy, and it probably boosts the grades a little bit on the team, but he doesn't need to be out there covering guys 30 yards downfield. Let him fill in run gaps and things like that. Again, as I was saying, we're back in bunch, right? And we're doing this screen, which is essentially an outside run because you're not getting anything on Georgia in here, right? Here comes this linebacker 17 coming in, and we're out of the races. Now, they're being physical out That's why this is a run play. Look at this guy block. That's physical. 47. Keep trying, buddy. That's their version of being physical is tossing it to the outside and getting after your DBs, right? Again, I mean, this is every bit as physical as running it between the tackles. Here we go with some motion, trying to get a look at coverage and things like that. Look, I put this in here because 9 is better than everyone else. You can't do anything about this other than make sure you tackle him. Like that. That's all you. Hey, 44, he's got to go down. That's all you can do about this. And if this happens now, Bama will win the game. But there's not anything you can do about that because he's better than everyone else. Watch this. Watch him pitch. And now I love this. Go get a block. I don't care if he hits him or not. Those guys are going to play hard for a quarterback that does that, right? Here, I should have a couple more. Got 4 or 5 more plays. Here we got no pressure. And this is probably the hardest thing they can do. If you blitz him, you have to get to him because he's slippery, right? If you don't blitz him, he's going to stand here like this, direct traffic, and throw darts. I mean, this is a seed from about 30 yards, right? And there's nothing you can do about that when a guy is better than you.
Would you just sit back in the pocket and point your receivers where to go if you were playing this Georgia defense?
No, there's no chance I'd have an O-line that would give me enough time to do that. But when you're Alabama, you can. But I mean, look at these guys are playing contained.
Wild.
Yeah, no, these guys are playing contained. They're not trying to rush. You see this? Yeah. These guys aren't trying to rush. Now, that was probably because they had already been getting torched for half the game or a full quarter after blitzing, right? So they get down here in the red zone. They say, all right, we're going to drop guys. And sure enough, I mean, 9's different. I'm telling you, 9 is different. Next play. Here we go. Let me put in a couple of I know Bama got after him some, but I wanted to put in a couple here of what Bama's not going to try and do. 1st and 10, let's run a little inside zone. Not happening. Okay, they're going to throw it on 1st down because that's their only option. Now, again, you have a guy as good as 9, throwing being your only option is okay, right? Next play, I want to go over here. 9's running out to make a play, right? They're giving up chunks here because they're going man and no one's got the quarterback, right? Out of empty. I mean, these are all, again, man beaters. Look, man, everywhere. Across all the coverage, nobody's got the quarterback and he torches you, right? So if you're going to go man, you have to get there. Next play here. See, long developing, like I said in the Michigan game, long developing isn't going to work against Kirby and the Dogs, okay? That's always going to be an L. And they have to get the ball out of 9's hands as quickly as possible because those guys are coming. Here they come again.
Go ahead, Steve. I was going to say, so is there any chance you're going to see – will Georgia mix in some zone, I guess is the question. Do you want to get away from what you do?
I would say yes, they will, only because – and I wanted to show this and talk about just man coverage in general for a second, but – I think they'll play zone because the way you beat man is a lot of these crossers and things. Let's just pause this here. If you have this guy crossing here, crossing over the top, right? If you play zone, this guy is going to put hands on him. This guy's going to put hands on him. I mean, you're trying. You get to redirect these routes out of zone. Okay, they're coming across your face instead of chasing them, which is what you do in man. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I definitely see them running more zone, but at the same time, you can't let 9 stand back there and pick you apart. Here they bring pressure. Great, they get to him, and look what happens. But they're also in 3rd and long, right? 3rd and long, and that's where they need to live. 3rd and long, they got a shot. Here we go, empty. I got 2 more plays. Here we go, empty. We're going man, and this is what O'Brien does. We got a safety or a linebacker here on 1, okay? And that's not even close. That's not even close. And they're faking the screen down here because that's their run play, right? We see that down here as well. They're faking the screen. Boom. We got 1-on-1. Let's throw it to him because he's better than, who is this, 11 or something? That is a corner, but I guess that shows you how good they are. Now, to seal the deal for the most part, it's 14-point game, 3rd and 5. Georgia gets this ball back on their own 19. I didn't want this to be missed, and I probably left a lot of cut up on this. This is rifle to seal the deal all over again out of bunch, okay? So we got 3, and if you can tell, this 18, what's his name? Slade Bolden,
Yeah,
great
Slade.
receiver name. He was on the inside or outside earlier. Like I said, they will switch who's the point, who's outside, who's 1, who's 2, who's 3, right? So they got the matchup they want. Georgia's doing a little lock and combo here where he's got him, and then these 2 players are going to switch on whichever direction these guys go. And that's why rifle's such a good play. 3rd and medium, like I said earlier. Okay, this is O'Brien's bread and butter here. And what we do, they actually switched it off differently than what I said they were going to do. But they end up running rifle and throwing it over the middle to Bolden again, who was uncovered earlier, right? So they end up finishing off with rifle, which is bread and butter on 3rd and 5. And I think you at least give Georgia a chance to win if you end up not converting that and punting it away, right? There's a great look at rifle from the end zone angle. You get these guys confused out of bunch because their rules from here are if somebody goes out here, one of them's got to go out here. If somebody goes in here, one of them's got to go in here. And they have to communicate that. So when you have a receiver that starts out here and then comes back in here, you screw up all their rules, right? So 3rd and medium, we're going to bunch and we're throwing rifle to one of those 2 in cuts. And it could possibly be the other one. But if I had to guess, I'd say Georgia is gonna change looks, change blitzes, change stunts, change everything. It will be a clinic tape as far as coaching goes on both sides, from O'Brien and from Kirby's defense. I can't wait. That's my take, and I'm putting my money on the Dogs. I got to put that out there.
So you're taking Dogs and laying the 3?
I don't know if I'm laying 3. I'm a money line guy.
2.5 for 3. It's like 2.5 for 3.
I'm a money line guy, but yeah, sure, why not? Just take it. I think it'll be low scoring because of what I just said. It's going to be a football masterclass as far as coaching goes. No one's leaving anything out there. No one's keeping anything hidden, right? And these are 2. I mean, hell, Kirby learned from Saban, right? O'Brien's an NFL coordinator. Like this is as good as it gets as far as quality of football, along with the players. And I mean, it gets me excited. I'm taking Kirby to win. Saban goes down. We start it all over again next year.
Seth, who you got?
I like Joe. I think, for some of the reasons Steven showed, like 47 was in the game because 29 Christopher Smith was hurt. So Georgia
he got torched all night. That was
so they had to play 47 and 31. I think I can't remember the guy's name, but 31 made his first start of the year playing the nickel against Alabama.
William
and those
Poole,
receivers. Yeah. He made his first start of the year playing that. They have Christopher Smith back, so they'll have their defense back. I think this is really a matter of health. Mechie went down. After Mechie went down, that's when the faucet went off on that Alabama offense. So I think missing him is going to be bad. They might be missing some offensive linemen as well. Possibly 2 starting linemen went out against Cincinnati, so that's a big one. And then I saw a stat that it was from Football Outsiders. I think Bruce Framo I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but he had a write-up on the game. He's talking about rematches, and he said that in rematches in the same season, the team that is favored by Vegas wins 79% of the time.
Wow.
And that is because, actually, if you go back the last 5 times, I wrote about this earlier this week, the last 5 times a national champion has played in a rematch against either for a 1-2 game or in any sort of scenario, the team that won earlier in the season lost 4 in a row. So that would seem to favor Georgia just a smidge as well.
So I'm on Georgia. I thought they were a better team going into the first game. I thought Alabama played their best game of the year. I watched this Alabama team play Florida really closely earlier in the year. Florida manhandled them up front on both sides of the ball. Georgia's much better up front than Florida is. So I think a healthy Georgia gives them some problems. I think they took Alabama's best shot, and I don't know if Alabama's healthy enough to replicate it. I'll take Georgia -3. I'll take the points as well.
There you go. All right, boys. We appreciate it. From all of us here at DK Nation, we will have tons of coverage around the game. Seth, what do you got?
Brock Bowers over, I think it's 60 yards receiving or something like that.
Oh, hold on.
Way
Get
low.
that down right now.
Way low.
Grab the app. Let's go.
I think he's like
Way
60.66 or 60.5 or something like that. I like him to have a big game. So I think they didn't have to use him a ton against Michigan. So that might have brought his number down, but I think they're going to wear him out against Alabama. So give me that Brock Bowers over.
Brock Bowers over it is. All right. From all of us here at DK Nation, we will see you on Monday night for the game of the year.